Well, welcome back to here. Glad you can be with me today. I got a phone call from the hardware store, and the mechanic said, I got a saw for you, and I've been wanting to trade him for the torpedo heater. Well, he was the one wanting to do the trade. It's not costing him anything, and I'm going to get my money back out of that torpedo heater, which I put $100 into it. It was a freebie that my brother picked up somewhere. So I had close to $100 into it. He's been looking for a torpedo heater for his shop, and he offered me a chainsaw the next time a customer left a nice one for their junk. Sometimes they just leave them. They don't want it. They buy a new one. This one's too much to fix after you pay $65 an hour. Plus Husqvarna parts are expensive. They just drop off the saw or whatever it is and say junk it, do whatever you want with it. Well, he had a Husqvarna 365 sitting there, and he was going to offer that one. We talked about it. It wasn't written in stone. He wanted to wait a couple of days in case the customer came back and said, you know, I'd like to get my saw back. Do you still have it? So I waited a couple of days. Yesterday I went in and I said, well, we're going to make that deal? Well, I don't know. I think I want to keep that one and rebuild it. I was like, oh man, you would. So today I got a phone call. He said, I got a 455 Rancher here, and I just rebuilt a 455 Rancher. This one is a little bit different, but it needs a cylinder piston kit, which I think they had the one that has the Nicosil coating for $30 or $40, somewhere in that range. So that's going to be a good purchase there. I've used those before. Let's take a look at this saw. Well, I got another one that don't have a bar on it, and that's not critical, but it does help the resale of it. You know, a guy looks at a chainsaw and he sees that it's all there and it's ready to go. All he has to do is fuel it up, make sure there's bar oil in it, and then start cutting. But you can't when there's no bar. So I'm going to have to wait until they get a cruddy one that I can spruce up. Cruddy meaning the edges have worn over a little bit on the bar, like if this was the top of the bar and the chain rides there. But you can file that down, use a flap disc sander, and I spruce them up, and it's good enough to get it sold. And the person can use it a few times and decide whether or not they want to purchase a new bar. At least this one has a chain with it, and that's good. There's something else in there, some goodies I see. So I don't know what all I'm going to find when I open this up. I already know there's no spark plug in there, but those are cheap. So the whole idea is not to put so much money into this that you don't make much when you sell it. And there is a spark plug in it. Not good compression. Well, there's some compression. He said that it needed a new, excuse me. He said that it needed a new cylinder, so we're gonna take the carburetor. We're gonna take the muffler off and take a peek in that cylinder and see what she looks like. I just did a compression test and I got 130 pounds. That's plenty enough. Let's spray some starting fluid in there and see what happens. I've got to find the little doohickey that goes on my tripod and use that camera so that I can video some of this. Some people might be interested in actually watching some of the process. I'm not getting the fire, so let's check to see if it has spark. I think that's good enough. You can see there is spark. So perhaps the ring is collapsed in the piston, stuck in the piston, could be broke, but still giving out decent compression. I've had that happen. We'll go ahead and look in through that muffler. I always struggle with this kind of situation when you got this hex key in there and you can't really get on there with pliers. You're trying to hold this down. I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to make a tool. Well, then I just remembered the other day when I was watching, I think it was Musty 1, he had the Allen set, and it had this, it's the same thing on there. So finally, I've had this for probably 10 years, and I'm just now using this for the first time. I think this was my biological dad's set. I don't remember. And now I have a handle to pull up, and I can hang on to the saw. Isn't that nice? And then whatever size this is, I didn't look, but a T30 will go in a lot of your Allen screws. They just, when you want to torque down though, or take something off that's already torqued down, use your hex key, and then you can use this just to make it faster, don't you know? Boy, that's tore up, ain't it? What were they doing? We got a stuck one. Who is it? Is it you? I think so. Oop, we still got another stuck one. Hanging on by a thread. What you up to, sissy? Getting your boots on? Getting your boots on. What's going on here? Yep, it's the bottom one. I don't care. You could turn these for 5 minutes each and it's still going to do that. I just dropped the screw. Scooby-Dooby screw, where are you? There you are. Oh, yeah. Okay, we got to go get a flashlight. Well, how about you look at this with me? I'm not seeing any scoring on the back side of the cylinder. Uh-oh. Okay. That looks good there. Huh. What's going on? Huh. Huh. Might as well check the muffler screen while we're at it. But I can't do it one-handed, so you're just going to have to close your eyes for a second. So I got the spark arrestor screen out, and it's not clogged. So I took a wire brush to it and, you know, knocked the soot off it. I guess I'll put that back on. So everything behind the muffler looked good. I mean, you know, looking at the cylinder, we're getting spark and we're getting good compression. Good enough compression. So I'm going to look down here and pop the flywheel off. Perhaps the key is sheared. Let's take a look, see. Dirty, but not as bad as some. Dirty. I've noticed on these steel saws that I have, it's pretty clean inside here. Righty tighty, lefty loosey on this side. Left hand thread on the clutch side. Alright, well, we're going to have to go to the big guy, I guess. Nope. It'd help if I put the spark plug in there. Yes, sir. I gave her a couple tappy taps and she's coming off there. We're going to take a look. Survey says, looks good to me. Huh. Okay. 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 Well, I'm going to put it back together and look for something else. Well, I didn't have the camera rolling. I wasn't expecting much, and I shot some ether in there, and she fired right up and ran perfectly off of whatever gas was in the lines because I had drained it. So there isn't anything to this that I have to do, except the chain adjuster thingy. The powell is broke, so I can get another chain adjuster. And I'm going to head down there right now and see if he doesn't have a used one in his box of goodies. I want to take a picture of this in case they need to know all that stuff there. Well, I went down to the hardware store and I had to get one of these chain adjusters, but he asked if I ordered a new jug for it yet, kit, all that. I said, no, I started it up and she runs. He's like, he looked at me out of the corner of his eye. He's like, you're messing with me. I said, no. I started up and it seemed to run great. He said, oh yeah, it'll start up. When it's cold, he said, we had it running, but as soon as it gets hot, it just shuts right down. So I probably will have to order a jug piston kit. So I'm going to have to dig into that anyway, but you know, I got to put some gas in it and run it for a bit and see what's going to happen, and go from there. Well, so far this thing ain't shutting down. It's hot, so I'm going to have to go down there and see what in the world he's talking about. Every time I try to call, it drops the call. They got new phones and you can't get through. Well, okay, here we go. I robbed the bar off the other 455 Rancher, and the chain's a little droopy because it's stretched out. I'm at the full adjustment length. I tell you what, I don't go for this business. This is a, you know, it just winds on there and holds that down. And then your adjustment to tighten the chain is this little deal there. Nope, don't like it, but it is what it is. So I really couldn't cut a whole lot of wood with the chain being so loose. And the guys down there, both the mechanics, said that after a while, after it heats up, it will shut down, and it never did. And they were so certain that it was going to. I said, well, take in consideration all of the stuff that you put down that cylinder. They put that air coil down there. They put, I don't know, coil, whatever, aero coil. They put coil down there. They put mystery Oreo, and then some Oreo cookies. And then they put down some, hydraulic fluid. They tried all. I think the hydraulic fluid was a joke because the one guy squirted it in there and then left a note for the other one. Say, oh, you need to do a cold start on this in the morning. And then it fogged up the whole shop. Okay, so anyway, with all that stuff in there, I think it released that ring. And he said after it got hot, it would shut down, but you would check the compression and then it would be down to, you know, like 80. And I ran it. I got her really hot. It stayed at 135. So I think we got a good saw here. This, all I need to do is get a bar for it and have that chain shortened. And then it's ready to be sold. There's a big shortage of chainsaws. Well, there's a shortage of everything if you look around, but the shelves are getting pretty bare. So a guy that has chainsaws to sell, this right now is the time to do it. And I've got, I don't know, 10 or 12 chainsaws. I've lost count now. So I'm thinking about selling the steel 028AV that I have up there in the cage. You can just see it sticking out right by the ladder. Because I get enough of this other stuff from those guys down there at the hardware store. If I ever felt like I wanted one to replace that up there, why it wouldn't be too hard. The reason why I have held on to that one, the steel, is because it's smaller than my 372 XP, and that thing's a hog. It's heavy. But now I have this. It's an old Poulan something XX something, I don't know. But it runs great, and it's got a brand new chain on it. And man, that thing buzzes up little limbs like there's no tomorrow. I was pretty surprised at how good that works. So in all, I got 1, 2, 3. Those 3 are my personal ones. And then there's 4, 5. Is that a snake? Oh. 6, 7, 8. 9. And then 1 at the auction, so 10. And that one will sell. That's a steel 025. Last week a steel 025 sold for $200, and all they wrote for a description was steel 025 chainsaw, and they got $200 for it. Didn't say whether it ran or not. And the one I got in there runs good, and I put that on there, so it should sell for real good. Right then, I'm gonna call it a day. It's Saturday evening, and my cousins are coming over to get this chair for their dad. My uncle has dementia, and his chair, the recliner part, it won't stay up. They got to prop something underneath there, and so this one should do nicely for him. I'm gonna go in, relax. So have a good weekend.